So have any of you guys seen the clip from the podcast about with Christine Brennan? This book is going to be crazy. I mean this when I say this. This book is going to be absolutely...
The WNBA thought they could shut down their loudest critic, but they messed with the wrong one, because now a legendary journalist is dropping a bombshell, a tell-all book exposing the truth behind Caitlin Clark's meteoric rise and the chaos that came with it. From shady officiating to backstage drama, the league tried to bury. The truth is about to go public, and the WNBA is in full-blown panic mode. This book isn't just revealing stories, it's blowing the lid off what really happened behind the scenes. So here's the real question. Should journalists be silenced for asking the hard questions, or does the league have something to hide?
So Christine Brennan is... And the WNBA tried to get Christine Brennan banned. And I mean this when I say this. Like, whatever your opinion on Christine Brennan is, it is not a positive thing if you are trying to get rid of probably the most impactful women's sports reporter in the history of women's sports. Like, there's not one reporter who has, even if you don't like Christine Brennan, even if you don't like some of the things, they cannot come for Christine Brennan. Like, it is a bad look. It is a bad look. It's like going for a freaking, if you're a critic, it's like, imagine if, I don't know, Bill Russell said something, rest in peace, Bill Russell. But imagine hypothetically if Bill Russell was alive and Bill Russell said something positive.
Well, the WNBA really fumbled this one, because now they've picked a fight with Christine Brennan. And that was a massive mistake. Let's be clear, this isn't just some blogger with a Twitter account. Christine Brennan is one of the most respected voices in sports journalism. She's covered 21 Olympic Games, been named one of the top 10 sports columnists in the country multiple times, and shattered barriers as the first woman to cover major men's sports beats. So what did the WNBA Players Association try to do? They went after her press credentials, all because she dared to ask tough questions. That's right, instead of answering for their actions, they tried to silence her. It's not just shocking, it's telling. It reveals exactly how the league operates when they think no one's paying attention. But here's what they didn't see coming. Brennan isn't just writing articles anymore. She's been working on something way bigger. On July 8th, her new book drops. Her Game, Caitlin Clark and the Revolution in Women's Sports. And according to Early Buzz, it's not some polished, PR-driven puff piece. It's an explosive expose that pulls back the curtain on Caitlin Clark's rookie season and the chaos surrounding it. Even the book description is enough to make the WNBA sweat. Brennan promises shocking new insight into Clark's Olympic snub by USA Basketball, the safety threats that forced the league to charter private flights, the WNBA's total lack of preparation for national media attention, and the jealousy and resentment that erupted as a white rookie became the face of a league long dominated by black players. This isn't just another sports story. This is the kind of reporting that could change everything.
I did radio shows where people would laugh about the WNBA and women's college basketball. They roll around on the floor. It's ridiculous. The WNBA had never had an Arnie Jack moment, had never had, Havlicek, Celtics, Bill Russell, moment, Lakers, Kareem moment. Well, so when we talk about these understandable connections, that's where it breaks down. Because when you're looking at the WNBA, the interest was so low. And then one person brings it up so high. And that's why, again, I wanted to focus on this story and look at the magnitude of this one person at this one time. We're almost at the 53rd anniversary of Title IX. I tie that all in, no mistake at all. The nation has fallen in love with...
Now we're finally getting to the heart of it. The WNBA's lack of preparation for heightened national scrutiny. Let's translate that. They had no clue how to handle the spotlight. and completely fell apart when it hit. But it gets even juicier. The phrase troubling outbreaks of jealousy and resentment, that's not coming from critics on social media. It's straight from a veteran journalist who's been watching the drama unfold from inside the system. So what exactly set all of this off? The timeline matters a lot. Everything started unraveling during the playoffs when Connecticut's Sun guard Wnba Carrington caught Caitlin Clark with a poke to the eye. And while the league tried to downplay it as accidental contact, what followed opened the floodgates to a much bigger controversy.
If you take off your capes for just a second and look at this objectively from this viewpoint right here, you'll see that there's no way Wnba Carrington intentionally poked that girl in the eye. But anytime something happens to Caitlin Clark, Jason Whitlock and the rest of the White Knights want to press charges against the jealous black Shaniquas.
Caitlin Clark ended up with a visible black eye, and naturally that sparked a wave of questions about whether it was really an accident. And here's where things start to get very interesting. Christine Brennan, just doing what any real journalist does, went straight to the source. She asked Wnba Carrington directly, "When you reached out and swatted at Caitlin, did you mean to hit her in the eye?" Carrington denied it, saying it was accidental, that she was going for the ball. Fair enough, but Brennan didn't stop there. She followed up with a bold question. Did Carrington or her teammates laugh about the incident later in the game? That's when things took a turn.
Wnba,
Yeah.
did you, when you went and kind of swatted at Caitlin, did you intend to hit her in the eye? And if so, could you just, or if not, either way, could you talk about what happened on that play?
I don't even know why I would intend to hit anybody in the eye. That doesn't even make sense to me. But no, I didn't. I didn't know I hit her, actually. I was trying to make a play on the ball, and I guess I followed through and I hit her. So obviously it's never intentional. That's not even like the type of player that I am. So yeah.
Did you and Marina kind of laugh about it afterwards? It looked like there was later on in the game they caught you guys laughing about it.
No, I just told you I didn't even know I hit her. So I can't laugh about something I didn't know happened. With the increase.
And that is when everything blew up. The WNBA Players Association absolutely lost it. They dropped what can only be described as a public takedown, a so-called statement that felt more like a hit piece aimed directly at Christine Brennan. They called her unprofessional, they labeled her indecent, and then demanded that her press credentials be revoked. Why? Because she asked tough questions and dared to write a book. They accused her of bias and hidden motives, which is wild considering every seasoned sports journalist builds relationships and perspectives over time. That's how real reporting works. But here's the truly laughable part. They're outraged that Brennan is writing a book about Caitlin Clark, as if that's something out of the ordinary. Seriously, do you know how many books have been written about athletes like Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Tom Brady? This is literally standard in sports journalism. But somehow, when the subject is Caitlin Clark, it's suddenly a problem. The statement from the Players Association was so over the top that even journalists who don't normally agree with Brennan came to her defense. Because let's be honest, what the union was really saying is that tough, uncomfortable questions should be off limits. Let that sink in. Imagine in the NFL, NBA, or MLB, a player gets tangled up in a controversial moment and reporters don't ask about it. That's their job. That's how professional sports media works. But in the WNBA, apparently asking if players laughed about an on-court incident is enough to get a journalist banned from the league entirely. The hypocrisy is off the charts. These same voices constantly demand equal treatment and more serious coverage for women's sports. But the moment a journalist actually holds players accountable like they would in any other league, they try to silence her. Let's be real about what's happening here. This isn't about protecting Wnba Carrington from a follow-up question. It's about protecting the narrative around Caitlin Clark, because Clark has become too big, too influential, and too valuable for the WNBA to allow any negative spotlight, even if it's fair. And that, boss, is what makes this whole situation so explosive.
Once Steph and LeBron retire, will there be an active American athlete that's more famous than her?
No.
I think she will be more famous than every baseball player she might already be, every hockey player, all of the U.S. men's national team, and every football player that isn't really Patrick Mahomes and maybe Lamar, Josh. Like, there's only a few. And I think she's already more famous than every NBA player but KD, Steph, and LeBron. And I don't see any of those guys catching her. I think she is a supernova of fame and talent.
She's the Tiger 20 years ago on the tour. Like, the ratings disappear. It's nothing against the WNBA. She literally is changing the entire league economy.
Clip, the numbers don't lie. Since Caitlin Clark entered the league, WNBA viewership has exploded, with ratings up over 400% in some markets. Indiana Fever games, packed. Merchandise, flying off the shelves. Clark has single-handedly brought more attention to women's basketball than the WNBA has seen in its entire 27-year history. And how did the league respond? Not with celebration, not with gratitude, but with jealousy, with resentment, players throwing shade, coaches making slick comments, veterans whining that Clark was getting too much attention, and then the Olympic snub, so blatantly political that even casual fans called it out immediately. And Christine Brennan, she's been documenting all of it, but this goes far beyond petty drama. What we're seeing now is a full-blown pattern of dangerous officiating, and it's impossible to ignore. Just this past week, during a game against the Connecticut Sun, it happened again. First, JC Sheldon swiped at the ball and ended up smacking Clark in the face. Then, Marina Mabrey straight up shoved her to the ground. A blatant cheap shot. And what did the referees do? Nothing. Not only did Mabrey stay in the game, but Clark, who was literally on the floor, got hit with a technical foul for flopping. You can't make this up. Christine Brennan was furious, tweeting, "The WNBA continues to fail to meet the moment. Terrible decision to allow Marina Mabrey to stay in the game. People are watching as never before, and this is what they see." She's absolutely right. Clark is pulling more than half of the league's total viewership all by herself. So when new fans tune in to see what the hype is about, and they watch her get mugged on the court while refs look the other way, what message does that send? And Brennan isn't the only one calling this out. Tennis legend Chris Evert posted, "When will these ladies realize, accept, and appreciate Caitlin Clark is the best thing that's ever happened to women's basketball? This is a bad look for the sport." And what happened to sportsmanship? Even Fever head coach Stephanie White blasted the officiating, saying she never got a straight answer for why Clark got teed up after getting shoved. This isn't a one-off anymore. Caitlin Clark is clearly getting rougher treatment than anyone else in the league, and officials are consistently looking the other way. Is it incompetence, bias, or something more intentional? We may not have the full answer yet, but Brennan's upcoming book might finally expose it all. Because here's the part that has the WNBA shaking. Christine Brennan has had behind-the-scenes access to this story from day one. She's conducted dozens of exclusive interviews, and yes, Caitlin Clark has been answering every single question. This isn't just a story, it's an investigation. The book's description hints at major revelations. Unprecedented safety concerns that forced the league to provide charter flights for every player. The WNBA's failure to prepare for the national spotlight Clark brought. And yes, that Olympic snub that turned the sports world upside down. Safety concerns? So serious they required private flights for everyone? That's not normal. That's not just business as usual. That's the kind of behind-the-curtain drama leagues desperately try to hide. And when Brennan, someone who's covered 21 Olympic Games, says the Olympic decision was one of the worst she's seen in 40 years, you better believe something's seriously wrong, because the snub wasn't random. It wasn't a fluke. It was just one more move in a pattern of gatekeeping and resentment. A system trying to keep Clark in her place, even as the whole world watched her rise. And now, boss, that entire system is about to be exposed in print. Caitlin Clark's rookie year wasn't just historic, it was targeted. From constant cheap shots on the court that refs ignored, to media coverage obsessed with criticizing her fans instead of celebrating her game, to the cold shoulder from veterans who publicly claimed the league was just fine before she showed up, all while Christine Brennan was quietly keeping receipts. Now, here's the truth the WNBA doesn't want out, because when faced with real criticism, they didn't fix anything. They tried to silence the journalist. That's right, instead of addressing the issues Brennan was uncovering, the league allegedly moved to have her press credentials revoked, just for asking tough, uncomfortable questions. But that backfired badly, because Brennan isn't some random blogger. She's a Hall of Fame level reporter, a legend who's been fighting for women's sports for decades. And now, she's about to drop a book that could shake the WNBA to its core. July 8th. That's the day the truth hits shelves. Her upcoming book, Her Game, Caitlin Clark and the Revolution in Women's Sports, promises to expose it all. Officiating failures, political infighting, safety issues, and the league's failure to prepare for the biggest spotlight in its history. And the timing couldn't be worse for the WNBA. Clark is heading into her second season with even more hype. The league just inked a massive media rights deal, putting more games on national TV than ever before. Sponsors are pouring in millions, hoping to ride the Caitlin Clark wave. And right in the middle of all this success, a tell-all book that could expose how the WNBA nearly torpedoed everything out of pettiness, jealousy, and pure dysfunction. And here's the worst part. None of it had to happen. Caitlin Clark came into the league humble. She downplayed the hype, praised her teammates, and handled criticism with more grace than most 22-year-olds could manage. The league had a golden opportunity to uplift her, protect her, and let her popularity grow the sport for everyone. Instead, they let resentment fester. They allowed players to take shots at her. On and off the court, they stood by as officials turned blind eyes to repeated assaults. And now Christine Brennan is about to lay it all bare. The WNBA thought they could intimidate journalists and pressure media outlets into compliance. They thought they could control the narrative by going after Brennan, but they chose the wrong woman to go after. This is someone who's broken barriers in journalism, covered 21 Olympic Games, and built her career by telling uncomfortable truths, even when no one else would. And all the pushback, all the attempts to discredit her, they've only made her more credible, because if the WNBA had nothing to hide, why go to such extreme lengths to shut her down? July 8th is going to change everything. Her book isn't just about Caitlin Clark, it's about a league that got caught flat-footed when success finally arrived and made all the wrong moves. We're talking detailed reports of behind-the-scenes drama, exposed referee bias, insider accounts of the Olympic snub, and how Clark's popularity threatened the status quo so much. The league turned against their own biggest star. Instead of rising with her, they tried to hold her down, and Brennan's gonna show us exactly how it happened. The WNBA tried to silence Christine Brennan, but in doing so, they gave her the loudest megaphone she's ever had. Now everyone wants to read what they tried to bury. This is going to be a moment the league never forgets, because Brennan isn't just revealing what went wrong, she's showing us how easily a professional league can throw away its biggest opportunity out of insecurity and bad leadership. So now we wait. What truth are you most excited to uncover when Brennan's book drops? Comment below, smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe, because this is only the beginning.